Okay, so today we're gonna talk about which units should you be rerolling on in Anime Vanguards Update 5.5. By the way, chat, if you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button because we're gonna be doing a giveaway at 55,000 subscribers. We're gonna be doing a battle pass giveaway, so if you want to be part of it, subscribe and join our Discord down below. Which unit should you be rerolling on? And to make it much more simple, I will be making the top 5 best units to reroll on in Anime Vanguards Update 5.5. Starting with number 1 unit you should be rerolling on right now, SJW Vanguard. SJW Vanguard is without a doubt the strongest unit in the entire game, and he might not really have the highest DPS in the game. That is true, he might not have the highest DPS. However, SJW Vanguard has the unknown element, and that alone makes him already a meta unit because the unknown element essentially means that he will not be affected by pretty much anything in the game except for a few things. The number one thing that affects him right now is mind control. That's the only thing that affects him as of now. But really, the reason why I'm telling people to go and reroll on him is because he is going to allow you to clear pretty much any game mode you will encounter in Anime Vanguards now moving forward, right? He can clear world lines. He's a meta world lines unit. He's a meta unit for pretty much every game mode because of his summons and his ability to do nuke. And if you can get a monarch on him, he's going to be very, very powerful with that nuke. And if you could get a Deadeye on him, he's going to be very, very powerful as a summoner. So this unit is insanely good, and he is quite hard to get, but if you do have him, I do think that you should invest in him. At least try to get a Deadeye on him, and if you get lucky, a monarch would also be very, very good on SJW Vanguard. Now, for the other units that I'll be talking about, we are going to be testing them in sandbox mode for you to get the entire point. The second one is actually going to be Deadeye Dante. The reason for this is because Deadeye Dante, and yes, you heard that right, just Deadeye Dante is one of the most powerful units in the game. Just for reference, this right here is a clip of him basically out DPSing Gogeta Monarch fully built, which is right around 100,000 plus DPS, which is absolutely insane. And Gogeta Monarch is not even a full AoE unit, which means that Gogeta Monarch is not even really as good as Dante when it comes to, clearing units. Now, Dante does have a pretty decent weakness, that being he's not always going to be on his Sin Devil trigger form, which means he won't really be doing that much DPS all of the time. And also, another good thing here, and the reason why he's the second best unit to roll on, is because you don't even need Monarch for him to be good, right? Two great traits for him. One is Deadeye, one is Monarch, and if you get either of those, you are going to have your traits that you spent on him pretty much paid back in the DPS that he's gonna be doing. Is going to be Yhwach. Now, Yhwach is an extremely goated unit because for me, he basically kind of has like 3 forms, or 2 forms actually. Now, his second form is going to be a DPS form, but the first form that I want to show right now is a DPS version of him. Now, if I place down a SJW Vanguard right here and max him out, he is going to be doing 33,299 DPS and 213 damage. Now, if I put him close to SJW Vanguard and actually buff him with this right here, if I actually buff him like so, okay, that was a debuff. Let me actually buff him. Wait. Okay, so buff him like so, then he should be getting a lot more damage. So from 33,000 to 37,000 DPS and 237,000 damage. So Yhwach is a pretty great buff unit, but you also have other placements of him. So technically, if you're, for example, doing long game modes, you can kind of bring Yhwach as a buffing unit, a semi-buff and damage unit. But if you get the Monarch on him, you can actually use him and like be really, really insane with him. Basically 2 times DPS because of this right here. When this unit attacks, will do an additional attack on the last enemy in range. Now, because of how it is formed or programmed, this basically allows Yhwach to just do 2 times DPS or 2 times damage. So the 16,000 DPS you're seeing right now is actually around 30,000 plus. But if you place, like, for example, lesser units, like maybe let's say, for example, units that you can place 4 times, just to show you how it really works. So there you go. As you guys can see, it buffed into like 26,000 DPS, but technically this is actually going to be over 50,000 DPS because again, he does 2 times his damage, And then also remember that he's like very cheap. He's only around 60,000 to max out, 66,000 I believe to max out. So yeah, if you get Monarch on him, you're basically gonna have a pretty great full AoE kind of DPS unit. That's why he is a pretty great investment in your traits, because you know, whichever trait you get on him, there's options. There's basically options that you can do. Now the fourth one is going to be Gogeta Monarch. I think most people right now that are watching probably already have Gogeta Monarch. Now the reason why Gogeta Monarch is going to be like super good is because Gogeta Monarch, his range is the entire map, right? Let's say for example, you're doing game modes right here, you AFK, and then a lot of enemies leak past you, and make Gogeta basically catch them. So if he doesn't kill them right here, he can always just teleport like all the way over there and then chase them. And basically this is super convenient because you can use this in 99% of the game modes. You don't have to sell Gogeta, and you could just teleport him all the way anywhere. And that makes him one of the most convenient units to use to get Monarch on. And unfortunately, it has to really be Monarch, okay? It has to really be Monarch, because if it's not a Monarch, it's not really going to be worth it. Because Gogeta is a one placement unit only, which is why he's in top 4 and not in top 3. Another reason why he's in top 4 is because he's a Vanguard unit, and the developers did say that every Vanguard unit is never gonna fall off the meta, and they're always gonna get buffed to become stronger. The next one is going to be Sid, and a lot of people are probably gonna be surprised by this right here, but realistically Sid is such a powerful unit, and a lot of people are really underestimating him. First and foremost, this unit right here is an unknown element, which means he is instantly a meta worldline unit. Now you have two options for this unit. It's either Ethereal or Monarch. Now if you have Monarch on him, he's gonna be the absolute best he can be. If you have Ethereal, he's gonna be slightly worse, if not a decent amount worse, but Ethereal is still kind of good on him. But you want to get Monarch on him ideally, right? But the reason why he's in top 5 is because he's such a powerful unit that people are just simply underestimating. He, I think, costs only around 99,000 or 98,000 to max out. It's the only AoE unit that's cheaper than him. Is probably going to be Yhwach. Dante is also a full AoE, but he's not full AoE most of the time. And Sid can also basically nuke, right? So his nuke right here can deal infinite amount of damage. And basically what I mean by that is every time you swap your character, this nuke right here, this nuke ability gets stronger. So thus 50% the amount of swaps this unit has done in damage to all enemies in range. So every time you swap, it's going to get 50% stronger. So after like 10 swaps of this character, he's going to be doing 500 times or 500% more than his damage in his nuke. And his nuke, the nuke cooldown is only 180 seconds, which is insanely good. His second of his passive that allows him to get over 100% more damage and 50% more range, depending on the takedown that he does. And then also this unit actually does more damage to enemies depending on the percentage of their missing HP, which is insanely good. So he will be doing more damage depending on how much less HP the enemy has, which is kind of crazy. And as you can right here, he's now doing 235,000 for a total of 36,000 DPS. Now it will get reset if you swap him. A lot of people don't really realize this, but he's not really bad. Like if you just go read this right here, it's really good. And then also, you don't forget the nuke, right? He still has his nuke, which is like super good still. Now, honorable mentions are Aizen and Virgil. Those units are pretty good. However, their main purpose is pretty much just to be a DPS demon. Like, for example, can you use Aizen to solo a bunch of game modes? I think Aizen will actually struggle to solo some game modes because his main purpose is just to be a DPS demon. And Virgil, you need an entire team to actually make him, you know, really good. So, or Virgil is good without an entire team, but he's much better if you use an entire team with him. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't put them here, because again, this isn't just a DPS competition. This is also units that are pretty good in game modes and can clear stages on their own, or can be very useful when it comes to clearing stages. So that's pretty much it, honestly, for these units. If you have other units you want to spend reroll on, comment them down below. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's depending on who you want to spend your rerolls on. It's your hard-earned rerolls. Spend your rerolls on who you want to. This video just serves as a guide to kind of pick which one is probably going to be the best. But yeah, that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.